You're a filthy, useless black maid. A billionaire returned to his Hamptons mansion at dusk, heart pounding as he saw his black maid, Keisha Robinson, battered and bruised, his young son clutching the truth. When the vicious cruelty of his second wife, Giselle, was exposed, the estate's walls echoed with rage, bravery, and a cry for justice. That living room clash would shatter their world forever. Will the billionaire stand for justice or turn a blind eye? Can a child's courage change a broken home? Share your predictions below. What will happen next? Vote 1 if this story grips you, or 0 if it doesn't. Stay tuned to uncover the shocking truth. The chandelier's light sliced through the Hamptons mansion, sharp as a blade, casting shadows that danced across the marble floor. Keisha Robinson, 35, her hair pulled tight into a neat bun, moved silently with a dustcloth in hand. Her heart thudded, not from the work, but from the weight of being invisible. Why do I feel like I'm trespassing in my own workplace, she thought, her fingers grazing the edge of a mahogany table. The air smelled of Giselle's lavender perfume, a scent that clung to every corner like a warning. Keisha's eyes darted to the clock, 6:47 p.m., dusk settling outside. Victor Langston, the billionaire who owned this palace, was due back tonight. Will he even notice me? She doubted it. He never did. Keisha's calloused hands, rough from years of scrubbing floors, trembled slightly as she polished a crystal vase. 2 kids to feed, a rent to pay. Don't mess this up, Keisha. She'd been at the Langston estate for 3 years, long enough to know her place, seen but not heard, useful but not valued. Giselle, Victor's second wife, made sure of that. The woman's voice, sharp and icy, could cut through the thickest silence. You're here to work, not to think, Giselle had snapped once, her blue eyes narrowing. Keisha still felt the sting of those words like a slap she couldn't dodge. Why does she hate me so much? The question gnawed at her, unanswered, as she moved to the next vase. A giggle broke her thoughts. Theo, Victor's 8-year-old son, bounded into the living room, his red shirt a splash of color against the sterile decor. His blonde hair flopped over his forehead, and his green eyes sparkled with mischief. Keisha, you got to hear this story, he said, holding up a dog-eared book. She smiled, her chest loosening. This kid's the only warmth in this place. Tell me later, Theo, she whispered, glancing toward the hallway. Giselle didn't like her talking to him. Too familiar, she'd said once, her lips curling like she'd smelled something rotten. Keisha's eyes caught Theo's left-handed grip on the book, his small fingers smudging the cover. He's always scribbling or reading. It was a detail she clung to, something human in this cold house. But then she heard it, the click of heels, sharp and deliberate, echoing down the hall. Her stomach twisted. Giselle. Keisha's clothes moved faster, her breath shallow. Don't look at her. Just keep working. The woman swept in, her blonde hair cascading over a silk dress, her gaze slicing through Keisha like a knife. Still here, Keisha? Giselle's voice dripped with disdain, her manicured nails tapping the arm of a velvet chair. Why does she always say my name like it's a curse? Keisha nodded, eyes down. Yes, ma'am, just finishing up. Her voice was steady, but inside her thoughts churned. She's waiting for me to slip up. Always waiting. Giselle's lips twitched, not quite a smile. Make sure you don't touch the Chinese vase. It's worth more than you'll ever earn. The words landed like a punch, but Keisha swallowed the pain. Keep it together. You need this job. She nodded again, her fingers tightening around the cloth. Theo, oblivious, piped up. Keisha's the best, Mom. She made me cookies yesterday. Giselle's head snapped toward him, her eyes narrowing. Don't call her that, Theo. She's the help. The word help stung, sharper than usual. Keisha's jaw clenched, but she kept her head down, her hands moving mechanically. I'm not just the help. I'm a person. But the thought felt hollow, drowned out by the fear of losing everything. Her kids' school fees, their tiny apartment, their future. Giselle turned away, her heels clicking as she left the room. Keisha let out a shaky breath, her heart racing. Why does she always make me feel so small? She glanced at Theo, who was watching her with a frown, his book forgotten. You okay, Keisha? He asked, his voice soft. She forced a smile. I'm fine, kiddo. Just got to keep this place shiny. But her eyes lingered on the doorway Giselle had exited. Something about the woman's glance, too quick, too sharp, set Keisha's nerves on edge. She's planning something. I can feel it. The clock ticked to 7:02 p.m. Victor's car would pull up any minute. Keisha's gaze drifted to the Chinese vase, its delicate patterns gleaming under the chandelier. One wrong move and I'm done. Her hands shook as she reached for it, then pulled back. Don't touch it. Don't give her a reason. She stepped away, her sneakers silent on the marble, and moved to the windows, wiping non-existent dust. The dusk outside painted the lawn in shades of purple, but inside the mansion felt like a cage. How long can I keep doing this? She wondered, her reflection staring back from the glass. Tired eyes, tight bun, a woman holding on by a thread. Keisha Robinson's hands shook as she reached for the Chinese vase, its delicate porcelain glinting under the Hamptons mansion's chandelier. Don't touch it. Don't give her a reason, she'd warned herself just minutes ago, but the cloth in her hand slipped, grazing the vase's edge. It teetered, then crashed to the marble floor with a sickening shatter, shards scattering like broken dreams. Her breath caught, heart hammering. Oh God, no, not this. The sound echoed, louder than the ticking clock, louder than her own pulse. That's it. I'm done. Her eyes darted to the mess. Jagged pieces glinting like knives, each one a reminder of her place in this house. 2 kids, no savings. What now, Keisha? She dropped to her knees, hands scrambling to gather the fragments, her fingers trembling so hard a shard nicked her thumb. Blood welled, a tiny red bead, but she barely felt it. Giselle's gonna lose it. The thought twisted her gut tighter than the cut. She glanced at the doorway, half expecting those clicking heels, that lavender scent that always came before a storm. Maybe she didn't hear. Maybe I can clean this up. But her hands fumbled, the pieces slipping, her breath shallow and ragged. Why's it always gotta be me? A shadow moved in the corner of her vision. Theo, the 8-year-old in his bright red shirt, stood frozen near the velvet sofa, his book dangling in his left hand. His green eyes widened, locked on the broken vase. Keisha, you okay? He whispered, his voice small but steady. She forced a nod, her throat tight. Don't let him see you panic. I'm fine, Theo. Just an accident. But her voice cracked, betraying her. He's just a kid. He shouldn't have to see this. Before she could say more, the sharp clack of heels sliced through the air. Keisha's stomach dropped. She's here. Giselle stormed into the living room, her silk dress swishing, blonde hair swinging like a whip. Her blue eyes zeroed in on the shattered vase, then flicked to Keisha, kneeling in the debris. You're a filthy, useless black maid, Giselle spat, her voice venomous, each word a blade. Keisha flinched, the insult burning deeper than any cut. Why does it always come to this? My skin, my work, it's never enough. She kept her head down, hands clutching the shards, blood smearing the porcelain. I'm sorry, ma'am, she whispered. It was an accident. An accident? Giselle's laugh was sharp, cruel. That vase was worth more than your pathetic life. She stepped closer, her heels crunching a shard into dust. Keisha's heart raced, her mind screaming, don't cry, don't give her that. But her eyes stung, and her hands shook harder. I need this job. My kids need me. Giselle's manicured hands shot out, grabbing Keisha's arm, yanking her up. Look at me when I'm talking to you. Before Keisha could react, Giselle's palm cracked across her face. Once, twice, 3 times. The slaps echoed, each one a jolt of pain and shame. Keisha stumbled, her cheek throbbing, her vision blurring. I'm nothing to her. Nothing. She hit the floor again, her knees buckling, the taste of blood faint on her lip. Why do I let her do this? Her thoughts churned, a mix of fear and rage. Because you've got no choice. That's why. She pressed her hand to her cheek, the heat of the slap spreading like fire. Giselle towered over her, voice rising. You think you belong here? You're nothing but a clumsy black nobody. The words cut deeper than the slaps, slicing into years of swallowed pride. Keisha's eyes darted to Theo, still frozen, his small fist clenched, his face pale but eyes blazing. He saw it all. Oh God, he shouldn't have to see this. Stop it! Theo's voice, high and fierce, cut through the room. He dropped his book, the pages splaying on the floor, and took a step forward, his red shirt a beacon in the dim light. Keisha's heart twisted. Don't, Theo, you'll make it worse. But his eyes locked on Giselle, fearless despite his trembling hands. You can't hit her, he shouted, his voice cracking but strong. Giselle's head snapped toward him, her lips curling. Stay out of this, Theo. This is grown-up business. But Theo didn't budge, his sneakers planted firm on the marble. He's just a kid. Why is he braver than me? Keisha thought, shame flooding her chest. Her gaze flicked to the doorway. The hum of Victor's car engine had faded minutes ago. He was probably inside by now, maybe steps away. Will he walk in? Will he care? She pressed her bleeding thumb against her palm, trying to hide the pain. Giselle loomed closer, her heels clicking as she sneered. Clean this mess up or you're out on the street. Keisha's mind raced. Out on the street. My kids and I. No home, no food. The fear was suffocating, but Theo's defiance sparked something in her, a flicker of fight she'd buried deep. If he can stand up, why can't I? The front door creaked open in the distance. Victor was here. Keisha's breath hitched, her eyes darting to Theo, who stood rigid, staring down Giselle. What's this kid gonna do? The question hung in her mind, heavy as the chandelier above. The room felt smaller, the air thicker, as if the walls themselves were waiting for what came next. Keisha Robinson's cheek burned, the sting of Giselle's slaps pulsing like a heartbeat. She knelt on the cold marble floor of the Hamptons mansion, surrounded by shattered porcelain, her hands trembling as they clutched a jagged shard. Why do I keep taking this? The question clawed at her, raw and unanswered. Her thumb, still bleeding from the cut, smeared red across the white fragment, a stark reminder of her place. I'm nothing here, just the help. Her eyes stung, but she blinked back tears. Not in front of Theo. The boy's presence, his small figure in that bright red shirt, was the only thing keeping her from crumbling. He shouldn't have to see me like this. Theo stood rigid near the velvet sofa, his green eyes blazing, his left hand clenched so tight his knuckles whitened. Keisha caught the way his chest heaved, the way his sneakers squeaked as he shifted forward. He's just 8. Why's he got to carry this? Her heart ached, a mix of shame and gratitude. Giselle loomed over her silk dress catching the chandelier's light, her voice still ringing in Keisha's ears. Clean this up or you're done. The threat hung heavy, like the lavender perfume choking the air. Done. No job, no home, no future for my kids. Keisha's fingers tightened on the shard, the pain grounding her. I can't lose this. Not now. Stop it! Theo's voice cracked through the room, high and fierce, like a spark igniting dry grass. Keisha's head snapped up, her breath catching. No, Theo, don't. The boy stepped forward, his red shirt a defiant blaze against the mansion's sterile glow. His small frame trembled, but his eyes locked on Giselle, unflinching. You can't hit her, he shouted, his voice shaking but strong, each word a bullet. Keisha's chest tightened. He's fighting for me. Me. The thought was a lifeline, pulling her from the edge of despair. But what's it gonna cost him? Giselle's lips curled, her blue eyes narrowing to slits. Theo, stay out of this, she hissed, her manicured nails digging into her palm. This is between me and the help. The word help landed like another slap, and Keisha flinched, her head bowing instinctively. That's all I am to her. Not even a name. But Theo didn't back down. He took another step, his sneakers squeaking louder, his fists balled at his sides. Her name's Keisha, he yelled, his face flushing red to match his shirt. She's not just the help. You're wrong to hit her. Keisha's eyes darted to Theo, her heart pounding. He's standing up to her. For me, she wanted to reach out, to pull him back, to shield him from Giselle's venom. He's too young for this fight, but his defiance stirred something deep inside her, a flicker of courage she'd buried under years of silence. If a kid can speak up, why can't I? Her fingers loosened on the shard, the blood smearing further, but the pain felt distant now. Theo's voice filled the room, drowning out her fear, if only for a moment. Giselle laughed, a cold, cutting sound that echoed off the marble walls. "You're a child, Theo. Go to your room." She stepped closer to him, her heels clicking like a countdown. Keisha's stomach twisted, her mind racing. She's gonna turn on him next. She saw the way Giselle's fingers twitched, the same way they had before she grabbed Keisha's arm. Not him, not Theo. Keisha shifted, ready to stand, to put herself between them, but her knees wobbled, the weight of the moment pinning her down. Theo didn't flinch. He planted himself in front of Keisha, his small body a shield, his eyes burning with a fury too big for his age. "You're mean," he shouted, his voice breaking. "Keisha didn't do anything wrong. You hit her for no reason." Keisha's throat tightened, tears threatening again. He sees me, really sees me. The thought was overwhelming, a warmth cutting through the cold shame. But what happens when Giselle snaps? Her eyes flicked to the doorway, where the faint sound of footsteps grew louder. "Victor. He's coming." Giselle's face hardened, her lips a thin line. "You don't talk to me like that, Theo," she said, her voice low, dangerous. She took a step toward him, her hand rising slightly, and Keisha's heart stopped. No, not him. She forced herself to her feet, ignoring the ache in her knees, the sting in her cheek. "Ma'am, please," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "It was my fault. Don't take it out on him." But Giselle ignored her, her eyes fixed on Theo, a predator sizing up prey. Theo's hands shook, but he held his ground, his red shirt glowing under the chandelier. "I'm not scared of you," he said, quieter now but no less fierce. Keisha's breath hitched. "He's braver than I'll ever be." Her mind spun, torn between fear for Theo and a growing spark of defiance. If he can do this, maybe I can too. The footsteps in the hallway grew louder, heavier. Victor was close. Keisha's eyes darted between Theo's trembling fists and Giselle's raised hand, the tension in the room thick as smoke. What's going to happen when Victor walks in? The question hung, unanswered, as the door creaked open, the billionaire's shadow looming just out of sight. Keisha Robinson's cheek throbbed, the heat of Giselle's slaps lingering like a brand. She stood shakily in the Hamptons mansion's living room, the shattered Chinese vase at her feet, its porcelain shards glinting like accusations under the chandelier's harsh light. "I'm gonna lose everything." The thought clawed at her, her chest tight with fear, her thumb still bleeding from a cut, pressed against her palm, the pain a dull reminder of her fragility. 2 kids, no safety net. What's next? Her eyes flicked to Theo, his red shirt a defiant blaze, his small fists clenched as he faced Giselle. "He's fighting for me, but what's it gonna cost?" The boy's courage was a lifeline, but it terrified her. "He's just a kid. He shouldn't have to." Giselle's voice cut through the air, sharp as her heels on the marble. "Theo, I said go to your room!" Her blonde hair swung, her blue eyes flashing with fury. Keisha's stomach churned. She's not done. She'll turn on him. She wanted to step forward to shield Theo, but her legs felt like lead, pinned by the weight of her fear. "I can't let her hurt him." Her gaze darted to the doorway, where the creak of the front door still echoed. Victor was here, somewhere in the house. Will he see this? Will he care? Her heart pounded, hope and dread tangled together. Theo stood his ground, his green eyes locked on Giselle. "I'm not leaving Keisha," he shouted, his voice high but unwavering, his left hand gripping the edge of his red shirt. Keisha's throat tightened. "He's braver than I'll ever be." The thought stung, but it sparked something, a flicker of strength she'd buried under years of silence. If he can stand up, why can't I? But the fear was still there, heavy as the lavender perfume choking the room. Giselle's hand twitched, as if ready to strike again, and Keisha's breath hitched. Not him. Please, not him. The air shifted, heavy with the sound of footsteps. Steady, deliberate, a man's boots on marble. Victor Langston stepped into the living room, his tall frame filling the doorway, his dark suit pristine despite the long flight from Europe. His gray eyes widened, taking in the scene. Keisha, trembling, her cheek red and swollen. Theo, defiant in his red shirt. Giselle, her posture rigid, her face a mask of control. He's here. Now what? Keisha's mind raced, her hands clenching the bloodied cloth. Will he believe me? Or am I just the help to him, too? What the hell's going on? Victor's voice was low, sharp, cutting through the tension like a knife. Keisha flinched, her head bowing instinctively. Don't speak. Don't make it worse. But her eyes caught the way Victor's jaw tightened, the way his fingers curled at his sides. He's angry. But at whom? Giselle spun toward him, her silk dress swishing, her voice smooth as glass. Victor, thank God you're here. This woman, she gestured at Keisha, broke your antique vase. I had to discipline her. Keisha's heart sank, the word discipline twisting like a blade. She's lying and he'll buy it. Her gaze dropped to the floor, the porcelain shards blurring as tears threatened. I'm nothing to him, just like she says. But Theo's voice exploded, raw and fierce. She's lying, Dad! He stepped forward, his sneakers squeaking, his small body trembling with rage. She hit Keisha 3 times. She called her awful names, Dad. I saw it. His words hung in the air, a challenge, and Keisha's breath caught. He's telling the truth. But will it matter? Victor's eyes flicked from Theo to Keisha, then to Giselle, his expression unreadable. Keisha's pulse raced, her mind spinning. He's looking at me. Really looking. She saw the way his brow furrowed, the way his left hand twitched, like he was fighting some inner battle. Does he see the bruise? Does he care? Giselle laughed, a cold, dismissive sound. Victor, he's just a kid, overreacting. She deserved it for her carelessness. Her words were smooth, practiced, but Keisha caught the slight tremor in her fingers, the way her eyes darted to Victor. She's nervous. She knows she's caught. Keisha's chest tightened, her thoughts a whirlwind. Say something. Stand up for yourself. But the fear was a weight, pressing her down. If I talk, she'll make sure I'm fired. My kids. She pressed her bleeding thumb harder against her palm, the pain grounding her. Theo's eyes met hers, bright with determination, and she felt a pang of guilt. He's fighting for me, and I'm just standing here. Her gaze flicked back to Victor, his silence deafening. What's he thinking? Is he like her? Keisha, Victor said, his voice softer now but firm. Look at me. Her head snapped up, her heart pounding. He said my name. His gray eyes locked on hers, searching, and for the first time she felt seen. But what does he see? A liar? Or someone like him? He stepped closer, his boots loud on the marble. Tell me what happened, right now. His tone was a command, but there was something else. Concern, doubt. Keisha's throat closed, her mind screaming, speak or lose everything. Her eyes darted to Theo, his small frame still shielding her, and then to Giselle, whose smirk faltered. Can I do this? Can I trust him? Keisha Robinson's cheek pulsed with pain, the bruise from Giselle's slaps a throbbing reminder of her place in the Hamptons mansion. She stood frozen in the living room, the shattered porcelain vase at her feet, its jagged edges glinting under the chandelier's cold light. Her hands trembled, blood still seeping from the cut on her thumb, but it was the weight of Victor's gaze that pinned her. He's waiting for me to talk. But what if he doesn't believe me? Her heart pounded, her mind a storm of fear and doubt. 2 kids. No job if I mess this up. She glanced at Theo, his red shirt a beacon of defiance, his green eyes blazing as he faced his father. He's fighting for me. Why can't I fight for myself? Victor Langston stood tall in the doorway, his dark suit crisp, his gray eyes flicking between Keisha, Theo, and Giselle. His voice, low and sharp, still echoed in her ears. Tell me what happened, right now. Keisha's throat tightened, her breath shallow. Speak or lose everything. But Giselle's presence loomed, her lavender perfume choking the air, her smirk barely hidden. She thinks she's untouchable. Keisha's eyes caught the way Giselle's fingers twitched, the way her lips pursed when Victor spoke. She's nervous. She knows Theo saw it all. Theo stepped forward, his sneakers squeaking on the marble, his small frame trembling but unyielding. "Dad, she's lying," he shouted, his voice cracking with rage. "Giselle hit Keisha 3 times. She called her a filthy black nobody right here in this room." Keisha's chest tightened, Theo's words cutting through her fear like a knife. He's telling the truth, every word. Her eyes stung, not from the pain in her cheek, but from the boy's courage. "He's only 8. How's he braver than me?" Victor's jaw clenched, his left hand curling into a fist. "Theo, slow down," he said, his tone steady but edged with something Keisha couldn't place. Anger? Doubt? Does he believe him? She watched the way his eyes narrowed, the way his shoulders stiffened as Theo kept going. "She didn't just hit her, Dad. She pushed her down, laughed when she fell, and she's mean to me too. She called me a useless kid, said I'm a burden." Theo's voice broke, his eyes glistening with tears he refused to let fall. Keisha's heart twisted. He's carrying my pain and his own. Giselle laughed, a cold, sharp sound that sliced through the room. "Victor, he's exaggerating," she said, her voice smooth as silk, her blonde hair catching the light as she tossed it back. "The maid broke your priceless vase. I had to teach her a lesson. Theo's just confused." Her words were practiced, her smile calculated. But Keisha saw the way her hands shook, the way her eyes darted to Victor. She's scared. She knows he's listening to Theo. Keisha's mind raced. "If I don't speak now, she'll twist this. I'll be out on the street." Theo turned to Keisha, his green eyes pleading. "Tell him, Keisha. Tell him what she did." His voice was a lifeline, pulling her from the edge of silence. "He's risking everything for me." Her hands shook, the bloodied cloth slipping to the floor. "I can't let him fight alone." She took a shaky breath, her eyes meeting Victor's. "He's looking at me. Really looking." For the first time, she saw something in his gaze. Not pity, not dismissal, but a flicker of concern. "Can I trust him?" "Keisha," Victor said again, stepping closer, his boots loud on the marble. "I need to hear it from you." His voice was firm, but there was a softness there, a crack in his usual cold demeanor. Keisha's throat closed, her thoughts spiraling. "If I tell the truth, she'll make sure I'm fired. But if I stay quiet, what does that say to Theo?" Her eyes flicked to the boy, his red shirt glowing, his fists still clenched. "He believes in me. I have to believe in myself." Keisha's voice cracked, barely a whisper. She swallowed, forcing the words out. "I was dusting. The vase fell. It was an accident." Her hands trembled, but she kept going, her voice growing steadier. "Mrs. Giselle came in, called me awful things, said I was a filthy black nobody. Then she hit me 3 times, pushed me down." The words felt like stones, heavy but freeing. I said it. I actually said it. Her eyes locked on Victor's, searching for his reaction. Will he believe me? Or am I done? Theo's voice rang out, fierce and unbroken. "See, Dad, I told you. She's a bully. If you let her stay, you're no better than her." His words hit like a thunderclap, and Keisha's breath caught. He's calling out his own father. Victor's face hardened, his gray eyes darkening as he turned to Giselle. "Is this true?" he asked, his voice low, dangerous. Giselle's smirk faltered, her fingers twisting the edge of her dress. "Victor, you can't seriously believe—" "Enough!" Victor snapped, cutting her off. Keisha's heart pounded, her mind reeling. He's angry, but at whom? She saw the way his jaw twitched, the way his eyes flicked back to her bruised cheek. He sees it. He knows. The room felt smaller, the air heavier, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Giselle's face paled, her confidence cracking. Theo stood firm, his red shirt a symbol of defiance, his eyes daring his father to act. What's he going to do? Keisha wondered, her hands shaking, the weight of the moment crushing her. Will he choose justice, or will he choose her? Keisha Robinson's heart pounded, the echo of her own words still ringing in her ears. She stood in the Hamptons mansion's living room, the bruise on her cheek burning, the shattered porcelain vase a silent witness at her feet. I told the truth. No going back now. Her hands trembled, the cut on her thumb stinging as she pressed it against her palm. Will he believe me? Or am I done? Victor Langston's gray eyes bored into her, his jaw tight, his silence heavier than the chandelier's cold light. He's waiting, judging. Her gaze flicked to Theo, his red shirt blazing, his small frame rigid with defiance. He got me this far. I can't let him down. But the fear clawed at her, whispering of her kids, their tiny apartment, the life she'd lose if Victor sided with Giselle. Giselle stood frozen, her silk dress catching the light, her blonde hair falling in perfect waves. But Keisha saw the crack in her facade, the way her fingers twisted the hem of her dress, the way her smirk faltered when Victor's voice cut through. Is this true? He'd asked, his tone low. Dangerous. Keisha's chest tightened, her mind racing. She's gonna lie. She always does. Giselle's laugh was sharp, forced. Victor, you can't believe her, she said, her voice smooth but brittle. She's the help, clumsy, careless. I was just keeping order. Her blue eyes darted to Keisha, sharp as knives. She thinks she's won. Keisha's stomach churned, the weight of years of silence pressing down. I spoke up. Was it enough? Theo's voice exploded, raw and fierce. She's lying, Dad. I saw it. His green eyes blazed, his fists clenched so tight, his knuckles whitened. She hit Keisha 3 times, called her a filthy black nobody, and she's mean to me, too. Says I'm a burden, a useless kid. His words were a thunderclap, each one landing like a blow. Keisha's throat closed, tears pricking her eyes. He's carrying all this for me. She saw the way his red shirt trembled, the way his left hand gripped his sleeve, as if anchoring himself. He's too young for this fight, but he's fighting anyway. Victor's face darkened, his gray eyes narrowing as he turned to Giselle. You called my son a burden? His voice was quiet, but it carried a fury that made Keisha's skin prickle. He's not just angry about me. She watched the way his shoulders stiffened, the way his boots shifted on the marble, as if ready to pounce. He's seeing her for what she is. Giselle's face paled, her fingers digging deeper into her dress. Victor, he's twisting things, she stammered, her voice losing its polish. You know how kids are. And her? She gestured at Keisha. She's just trying to save her job. Keisha's heart sank, the old fear surging. She's turning it on me. Her mind spun, replaying every insult, every slap. Filthy black nobody. The words burned, but Theo's courage anchored her. He believes me. I have to keep going. She took a shaky breath, her voice steadier now. It's true, Mr. Langston, she said, meeting his gaze. She hit me 3 times, pushed me down, called me those things because of my skin. Said I don't belong here. Her voice cracked, but she pushed on. I was scared to tell you. I've got 2 kids to feed. But Theo, he saw it all. He's telling the truth. Victor's eyes softened for a moment, lingering on her bruise, then hardened as they snapped back to Giselle. You thought you could do this in my house? His voice was a growl, each word deliberate. Keisha's pulse raced, her thoughts a whirlwind. He believes me. He actually believes me. She saw the way his jaw twitched, the way his left hand unclenched, as if letting go of doubt. Giselle stepped back, her heels scraping the marble. Victor, you're overreacting, she said, her voice shrill now. She's nothing. I'm your wife. No more, Victor said, his tone final. He stepped closer, towering over her. You're done here. Pack your bags and get out. Tonight. Keisha's breath caught, her mind reeling. He's choosing us. The room felt smaller, the air electric, as if the walls themselves were stunned. Giselle's face crumpled, her confidence shattered. You can't mean that, she whispered, her hands shaking. Victor's eyes didn't waver. I mean it. And I'm done letting people like you treat my home like a battlefield. I'm changing how things work around here. Starting now. Keisha's knees wobbled, relief and disbelief crashing together. He's not just kicking her out. He's promising more. She glanced at Theo, his eyes wide but shining with pride. He did this. His courage. Her heart swelled, but a new fear crept in. What happens next? Will he really change? Giselle's lips trembled, her voice a hiss. You'll regret this, Victor. She turned, her heels clicking furiously as she stormed toward the hallway, her silhouette fading into the shadows. Keisha's hands shook, the bloodied cloth forgotten on the floor. She's gone. But what does this mean for me? Victor turned to Keisha, his expression softer but still fierce. Keisha, I'm sorry. I didn't know. His voice cracked, a rare glimpse of vulnerability. Keisha's throat tightened, her thoughts spinning. He's apologizing. To me? She wanted to believe him, but years of being invisible made her wary. Can I trust this? Theo grabbed her hand, his small fingers warm against her cold ones. You're safe now, Keisha, he whispered, his red shirt glowing under the chandelier. Safe. Is that even possible here? The question lingered, heavy as the silence that followed Giselle's exit, as the mansion waited for what came next. Keisha Robinson stood in the Hamptons mansion's living room, the bruise on her cheek still tender, the shattered porcelain vase a fading memory on the marble floor. She's gone. The thought felt unreal, like a dream she didn't trust. Giselle's heels had clicked out of the house minutes ago, her silhouette swallowed by the dusk outside. Keisha's hands trembled, the cut on her thumb now a dull ache, but the weight of fear lingered. Is this real? Can I believe it's over? Her eyes flicked to Theo, his red shirt glowing under the chandelier, his green eyes bright with a mix of pride and relief. He did this. That kid saved me. Her heart swelled, but a whisper of doubt remained. What happens now? Victor Langston stood before her, his dark suit slightly rumpled, his gray eyes softer than she'd ever seen. His voice from moments ago echoed in her mind. You're done here, he told Giselle, his tone final, unyielding. Keisha's chest tightened, replaying his words the way his jaw had clenched, the way his boots had stood firm on the marble. He chose me, chose Theo. But years of being invisible made her wary. Is he really different? Or is this just a show? She pressed her bloodied thumb against her palm, the pain grounding her as she waited for what came next. Victor stepped closer, his boots soft on the floor now, his voice low but steady. Keisha, I'm sorry. The words hit like a wave, unexpected and heavy. Sorry? From him? She met his gaze, searching for a catch, but his eyes held something new. Guilt, maybe even shame. I didn't see what was happening in my own house, he said, his voice cracking. I let you down. I let Theo down. Keisha's throat tightened, her thoughts spinning. He's admitting he was wrong. A man like him. She glanced at Theo, who stood close, his small hand brushing hers. He's the reason for this. I'm not just firing her, Victor continued, his tone firming. Things are going to change around here. You're not just the help. You're part of this house. I'm raising your pay, covering your kids' school fees. No one's going to treat you like that again. Keisha's breath caught, her mind reeling. School fees? A raise? The words felt too big, too good. Is he serious? Can I trust this? She saw the way his left hand unclenched, the way his eyes stayed on her, not wavering. He means it. At least he thinks he does. Theo grabbed her hand, his fingers warm and sure. You're safe now, Keisha, he said, his voice soft but fierce, his red shirt a beacon of hope. Keisha's eyes stung, tears she'd held back for years threatening to spill. This kid. He's more family than anyone here. She squeezed his hand, her voice barely a whisper. Thank you, Theo. You stood up for me. Her heart ached, not with pain, but with something new. Gratitude, maybe even strength. He saw me when no one else did. Victor knelt beside Theo, his hand resting on the boy's shoulder. You made me see, son, he said, his voice thick. You showed me what courage looks like. Theo's face lit up, his green eyes shining, but he didn't let go of Keisha's hand. Keisha's the best, Dad, he said simply. She deserves better. Keisha's chest tightened, a warmth spreading through her. He's right. I do. The thought was bold, unfamiliar, but it took root, fueled by Theo's unwavering belief. The mansion felt different now, the chandelier's light less harsh, the air less heavy with lavender and fear. Keisha's gaze drifted to the doorway where Giselle had vanished, her heels a faint echo in her memory. She's really gone. But the community outside, the Hamptons elite, the gossip circles, wouldn't stay quiet. Word of Victor's decision spread fast, whispered in country clubs and group chats. The billionaire who'd kicked out his glamorous wife for a maid, who'd vowed to change his household. They're shocked, Keisha thought, a flicker of pride mixing with her doubt. Let them talk. I'm still here. She looked at Theo, his red shirt rumpled now, his book still splayed on the floor. He's gonna keep fighting for what's right. The thought steadied her, like a promise. Victor stood, his expression resolute. Keisha, you're staying. And if anyone treats you wrong again, you come to me. No more silence. Keisha nodded, her throat too tight to speak. No more silence. The words echoed in her mind, a vow she wasn't sure she could keep yet. But I'll try. For Theo. For my kids. As Victor walked Theo to his room, Keisha stayed behind, her fingers brushing the bruise on her cheek. The living room was quiet now. The porcelain shards swept away, but the weight of the night lingered. I'm still standing. She thought of her kids, their faces waiting for her at home. I'm doing this for them. And for the first time, she felt a flicker of hope, fragile but real, that this mansion could become more than a cage. Maybe it's a home now. The question hung, soft and unanswered, as she stepped toward the window. The dusk outside giving way to stars. This story shows that even the smallest voice, like a child's, can spark justice and change a broken system. Keisha's courage and Theo's bravery remind us that standing up for what's right can transform lives. What moment in your life made you speak out against unfairness? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're reading everyone. If this story moved you, hit that like button and vote 1. If not, vote 0. Next time, we'll dive into another tale of unexpected heroes facing impossible odds. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching from the bottom of our hearts. Stay kind, stay bold, and we'll see you in the next video.